Hey there, this is Natalie, and it's so good to be able to talk on here again. My voice sounds a bit ropey, I know. I've had a bad cold I haven't been able to shake for weeks, probably because my apartment is freezing and I can't afford to put the heating on, but we'll come on to why I'm that broke in this video. Please just bear with the fact that I sound like a dog that's trying to learn human speech for this one. So the point of this video is to talk about why I've been absent from YouTube since December. But while the previous video I did about the hiatus I took last year was about personal problems, this one isn't. This is something that could happen to you, and even if you're not a YouTuber, it could badly affect your livelihood if you do any sort of business online. And if you don't, could still very much inconvenience you and prevent you from functioning normally on the internet. I will be talking about measures you can take that might prevent this from happening to you, but the bottom line is that Google can arbitrarily mess up your life in ways you thought you'd safeguarded against. And if it does happen, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So, to begin this tale of woe, I have to go back to December. If you saw my previous channel update, I went through a lot of bad times in the second half of last year. I went through a bad breakup, got COVID, had to move to another city, and more or less had a mental breakdown. I don't want to go back over all of that because it's in another video, but it caused me to have to deplete all my savings by moving and take a hiatus because I just wasn't in a fit state to do any creative work. At the end of last year, I was in a situation where yeah, I was broke, but I was starting to feel motivated again, and my channel was honestly the only good thing left in my life, sad as that sounds. Anyone who makes content will know that the run-up to Christmas is both when ad revenue on videos is the highest, and sponsors have the biggest budgets to spend on promotions. And I've been working hard to get sponsorship deals after my hiatus, and write some good content to release in December, thinking that, yeah, this is when I can turn things around. I can get out of the hole financially, I can re-establish my channel with some good content, and get ready for 2023. But when I went to log into YouTube Studio to upload a video I'd made with a sponsored segment, which incidentally was a Mushoku Tensei video, and I will be reusing the script in the future, but I have to remake the whole thing as I've made it with a Christmas theme and a sponsor. But it was one I thought you'd all like. Well, it told me I couldn't log into the Google account associated with my channel. It said this was due to suspected malware on my PC. I ran a scan on my PC and it was clean, and so I went to log in again. It asked me to use backup codes. Now, I hadn't been playing fast and loose with this Google account. I'd used it for my YouTube channel and the business email my sponsors and so on used to contact me, so I'd done everything I thought you could do to safeguard it. I had a backup email address and a phone number associated with it, and had set up all the security questions. But it didn't ask me for any of those, just the backup codes, which I hadn't even known were a thing for Google accounts. If you have Discord, you'll know that they push you to save your backup codes when you create an account, so you know they're a thing and are important. With a Google account, they're buried deep in the security settings, and even after all of this happened and I knew I needed them, I had to really hunt around to get them. So, suffice to say, I didn't have the backup codes. This was the only option it gave me too. Without entering the codes, it wouldn't ask me for my backup email or phone number, or ask me my security questions. It would just send me to a very useless help page. Now, I was already in a bit of a panic because I was very much relying on the money I'd be making from the sponsored video I was due to upload that day, as well as other sponsored videos I had lined up for the rest of the week. And with Christmas just around the corner, I reached out to Team YouTube on Twitter. This is often the best way to get any help with YouTube issues, because obviously it's publicly visible and they don't want to be seen to not be helping creators. However, even though plenty of people retweeted me, and I do have a fairly decent following on Twitter, all they did was respond with links to the same useless help page I'd already seen, and finally give up, saying that they weren't Google account experts. Now, that's all well and good, until you consider that Google has absolutely no means of contacting them about account issues. Sure, Google has billions of people using it, and they couldn't realistically provide tech support in the same way as other companies. But when you realise that there's literally nobody you can talk to or even tweet at about a problem like this, that is literally preventing you from working and causing you to lose a substantial amount of money that you really needed due to a completely arbitrary tech issue, well, it's pretty demoralising. Now, because Google was impossible to contact, I kept trying to do things through YouTube. Given I'm in the partner program, I should have some degree of support through them. There is a live chat feature you can use to talk to YouTube support if you're in the partner program, but you need to be logged into the back end to access it. And since my problem was not being able to log in, I couldn't access it. Some of my friends on YouTube tried talking to the live chat for me, but they were all told to get me to contact them myself, which I obviously couldn't. Even some much bigger channels than me who have direct contacts at YouTube tried talking to their managers on my behalf, and while they were more helpful, they still couldn't resolve the issue. I was at this point really losing my mind. Not only could I not put up my videos, I couldn't even let the sponsors know that I was having these issues because I'd only ever talked to them using my business email account, which was on the same Google account, and so I couldn't access their contact details. I was not only failing to deliver what I'd said I would and what I was really counting on the money from, but I was also, as far as they could tell, just ghosting them, making me think they'd never want to deal with me again even if I did get my channel back. While other people were trying to help, I did also do what someone on Twitter told me to do and keep trying the account recovery thing. Apparently, it loads different recovery questions every time, but in my experience, it still only ever asked for the backup codes, which I didn't have. As an experiment though, I tried entering an old password instead of the correct one, wondering if that would trigger something different. It actually did. This led to it asking me if I wanted to send a code to my backup email address. This felt promising. I said yes, entered the code it sent me, and that's when it told me, check your email again after 30 days, and you'll be sent a link to recover your account. 30 days. I was being told 30 days to access the account my livelihood is based around, that I've been locked out of for literally no good reason, and that was still honestly a positive compared with the response I'd been getting before. I was in a really bad situation. I was losing a lot of money that I'd been relying on earning, not just to turn my situation around after a bad year, but also to literally survive. I was losing relationships I'd spent time building up with sponsors by looking like a flake. I was losing my audience because, aside from those who follow me on Twitter and knew what was happening, I had no way to let them know why there was no content. But I figured all I could do was just ride out the 30 days. Thankfully, some of my community who saw my tweets about this took pity on me and donated to me via my Ko-fi or Coffee or Ko-fi, or however you're supposed to pronounce it. So I did have enough money to pay my rent and so on, and I'm so very, very grateful for that. I absolutely hate asking for help like that. I mean, my intention was that I could make a living mostly off of ad revenue and then sponsorships. So the people paying me are getting something they want out of it, and my audience just watch the content. I was always grateful when people subscribe to my Patreon, do super chats on my streams, or send me donations via Ko-fi, but it to me was like tips, not something I'd ever ask for. But I found myself literally needing to beg that if anyone could help me out, at Christmas of all times, when nobody has much to spare, they would. And all because of a random Google account issue. And as I'll be getting onto in the next part of this saga of stupidity, due to phase 2 of these issues, I'm still in a dire financial situation. So even in this first video back, I really have to beg that if you enjoy my content and happen to have a bit of money that you can afford to donate, please do. There's a link to my Ko-fi in the description. They don't take a fee and it's instant, or there's my Patreon. I'm going to be making content regularly again now, and I'm groveling to my previous sponsors to try to recover those relationships. But for this month, there's realistically no way I can turn things around. And, well, it's pretty stressful, as you can probably guess from the tone of this video. Still, back to the story. I'd said I was going to ride out the 30 days and just try to make my comeback then. This was going to be in mid-January. I was ready for it. starting to look forward to it, really just trying to make the best of things and move past the bad situation. But on January the 12th, a few days before I was expecting access back, I got an email from Google to the backup email account saying, "Your recovery request has been cancelled because you're logged in on one or more devices." I wasn't. I couldn't log in on any device I owned or had ever owned. But it meant the 25 or so days of the 30 that I'd waited had been nullified. There was nobody to contact about this. I really just cried. I immediately tried to trigger the account recovery again, and it told me again to wait 30 days. This seemed like my only option. At the same time, someone from my community mentioned that he had a friend that worked at Google, and he asked him to look into it. However, even he couldn't trigger anything other than that account recovery process. At this point, I was really losing my mind. I decided to start a second channel, which was something I'd thought of doing anyway, because sometimes I get ideas for content about Western media that wouldn't really fit on my main channel, where it's all anime stuff here. But I'd always wanted to do that alongside my main channel. And when I tried to write anything for it, I just felt so depressed, thinking I was working for no money, where the channel wouldn't be monetized yet, and thinking how hard it had been to get views on a new channel to begin with. I just couldn't get focused to write content for it, and it wouldn't have helped my financial situation either. I do still plan to build up that channel, but it needs to be alongside working on this one. Add to that my backup way of making money in emergencies has been writing articles for a copywriting company that my friend runs, and that whole industry just literally tanked overnight because GPT chat can now do what the clients want for free. So I didn't even have that option. It was a very dark time. Still, the second round of 30 days was due to be up on February the 12th, the day before my birthday. And finally, on the evening of the 12th, I got access back. It was the happiest I've been in a very long time. Now, those of you who follow my channel for a while know that I normally do a stream on my birthday. And this year it was an especially big birthday. So I was planning to do my traditional stream and get some guests on and basically have a party on my channel. But I was spending the week at my dad's, and given I use a big old gaming setup for my videos and streams, I knew that I wouldn't be able to take all of that with me. I took my old laptop I used to use for writing novels and my little Razer mic I usually use for streams, just because it gets in the way less than the big Rode mic I use for all these scripted videos. But when I tried to get it all working, that laptop just couldn't hack it. So I decided to just postpone the stream until a week later when I'd be home with my usual gear. So I get home, I turn on my trusty PC, the same one I've been using for at least a year, and try to log on to my now accessible Natalie X Hunter Google account. And wouldn't you know, it wouldn't let me into YouTube Studio. It kept telling me to do a security checkup, which I did, and it was fine, but it wouldn't let me past that screen and into my dashboard. It would still let me access my email and access YouTube using that account from the front end, but YouTube Studio, no, it was having none of it. However, I could at least access the live chat now, so I used that. I was like, hey, I want to set up a stream. I've been locked out for nearly 2 months for no good reason, blah, blah, blah. The woman I spoke to was, I've got to say, really nice, but ultimately she couldn't do anything. She said I had to wait until I'd been logged into the account on a different device for 7 days to access it on my PC. Because I'd recovered it using my phone, my PC was apparently still sus, even though it was the same PC on the same network that I'd used without issue for a very long time before all of this. An arbitrary period of 7 days would apparently remove its suspiciousness, so I had to wait until the 20th of February. And then I lost my voice. So that brings us to now. I can use my PC, I can access my account again. I've lost a ton of money and am so broke I'm legitimately wondering what I'm going to do. And all because of repeated Google issues that happened for no discernible reason and which nobody seemed to be able to fix. So how can you make sure this doesn't happen to you? Well, while you may think having a phone number and secondary email attached to your account will be enough, clearly don't count on it. Go into the security settings on your Google accounts and download the backup codes and keep them on any devices you may need to access your account from. Another measure I'm taking is making my secondary YouTube channel a manager on my main channel, so hopefully if I'm ever locked out of one account again, I can still access my channel using the other. I've also stopped using the whole login to Google thing when signing up for accounts on new sites, because being locked out of my Google account also meant I was locked out of accounts for all kinds of unrelated things where I'd done that, for everything from Patreon to software tools that I use. It really is horrifying that something so completely random can mess your whole life and work up so much, and that nobody can help when it does, especially when you thought you'd been prudent about preventing those kinds of issues by doing stuff like giving Google your phone number and so on. But these things won't change, so all we can do is be aware that these kind of Kafka nightmares can happen, and go even further to protect ourselves than the systems will actually even advise us to. Still, on a more positive note, normal content will resume straight away, and I will do the postponed birthday stream in the next few days. I just want my voice to be properly better before I commit to talking live for hours, so I'm not sure what day it will be yet. I'll keep you posted. Thank you again to anyone who's able to help me out via coffee. You have no idea how much you're saving my skin. And to my supporters on Patreon who've stood by me while I couldn't even access the platform to tell them why. You're honestly the best community any content creator could hope for, and I hope to do you proud this year, especially with Mushoku Tensei Season 2 coming up and lots of other great shows to be excited about. Thanks for watching this video. After this one, it's going to be back to normal anime stuff. I just needed to talk about this, so thanks for listening, and I hope to see you again very soon.